right, good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Altoona Area High School Alumni Association and administration, we welcome you to tonight's Distinguished Alumni event. Since the Alumni Association developed the Distinguished Alumni Program in 1999, these weekend celebrations have always been memorable, and I'm sure tonight's will not disappoint. A special thank you to Mrs. Kristen Del Judas. She left with the kids, but she actually pinch hit for our strings ensemble director who was unable to make it here tonight. But we were entertained tonight by our Altoona Area High School string ensemble, so I hope you enjoyed their music. So before I go any further, I'd like to introduce our honored guests. I'm going to ask you to stand and remain standing, and we can do an applause at the end of the introductions. With us, we have Colonel Joseph Fraundorfer, class of 1978 from Bethesda, Maryland. Fredina Ingold, class of 71, Port Matilda, Pennsylvania. Michael Kuhlman, class of 2002 of New York, New York. Dr. Kelly Miller, class of 1986 of Corpus Christi, Texas. And family members and friends of the graduate we honor posthumously this evening, Harold Stitt from the class of 60. Joining us this evening is his daughter, Becky Plott of Huntsville, Alabama, and her son, his grandson, Justin. So thank you all for coming. And this year, we recognize Judith Filler Bright from the class of 54. Judy died January 28, 2024. Her family wanted to continue her legacy of life, well lived, and recently established the Judith Filler Bright Memorial Fund, which you will hear more about later. Joining us this evening is her son, Christopher Bright, daughter, Rebecca Huffman, and granddaughters, Meredith and Bridget Huffman. So thank you very much for being here. So at this time, I'm pleased to introduce Peggy Cawthorn from the class of 1966. Peggy is our president of the Altoona Area High School Alumni Association, and she is going to give you a few words. Peggy.
I have to step up. Distinguished alumni, Superintendent Brad Hatch, Assistant Superintendent Holly Flegel, Board Member Mike Pappas, council members, family, and friends. Welcome to the biannual Altoona Area School District Distinguished Alumni Induction Dinner. As Paula said, my name is Peggy Cawthorn. I'm a proud member of the Altoona High School class of 1966, and I have the distinct honor to serve as the president of the Altoona Alumni Association. I would be remiss if I did not mention the significant contributions of Altoona Alumni Association Executive Director Paula Foreman. It is such a privilege to once again come together to recognize alumni of the Altoona School District for their accomplishments, which include significant contributions to society, service to our nation, and breaking down barriers in athletes. As we gather together to hear the many accomplishments of the inductees, we must consider where their journey began, as every journey starts with a first step, a step that charts a path for success. All of the inductees we are honoring here tonight took that first step when they began their education in the Altoona School District. As we consider this group, we should also consider the years that span their educational experience. The span of years is emblematic of the solid bedrock on which the Altoona School District is built, a foundation that dates to the first graduating class in 1877. It's amazing to consider the number of students who have been educated in this nationally recognized school district over the past 148 years. The Altoona School District takes great pride in adulations received not only among school districts in Pennsylvania, but also school districts across the nation. The quality education afforded every resident of this district is only made possible through strict commitment to educational standards within the Altoona School District. As many here know, ensuing this high standard is met while maintaining fiscal responsibility to the community is a daunting task and one that is not easily achieved. Through this balance, however, the Altoona School District has not only been able to recruit, but also maintain the best educators available to ensure our students have the greatest opportunities possible. The honorees here tonight represent the best of our Altoona graduates, and they join a long list of Altoona alumni who have shaped the future. I am confident that each of our honorees here tonight have stories recounting a teacher or administrator who made an indelible mark on their lives. Someone who took extra time in a difficult class, gave extra time through extracurricular activities, or was there to listen when they were needed the most. I am grateful to be here once again as we recognize the greatness that is Altoona School District. With that said, I ask that you sit back, relax, and enjoy the accomplishments of the most recent group of inductees. But before we do, I would like Superintendent Brad Hatch to come up. Brad, on behalf of the Altoona Alumni Association, I would like to present to you your own mountain lion.
Oh, thank you so much. So, that's an amazing gesture. So, funny story. I've been in central office now for 10 years, and although I'm not an Altoona graduate, it's my 29th year as part of the Altoona Area School District family, and I repeatedly say that I'm very jealous and envious of everyone that receives a mountain lion. I'm like, what do I have to do to get a mountain lion? Like, I would love to have a mountain lion. So I go to these places and I see the bronze mountain lion, and I'm like, that is unbelievable. You're not supposed to do this before I talk. You realize that. That's not a good thing. But no, thank you so much. And without people like Peggy and Paula and the countless people that truly make our school district and our community an amazingly special place. And that was never more than evident when our graduates arrived at the high school yesterday and took the opportunity to meet with our students and our staff. And what an inspiration. When you think about 70,000 plus Altoona graduates, over the course of 150 years of being in business, and the number of people that have come through our community that have had the opportunity to take advantage of the service and the outstanding quality of an education and support from an amazing community. Even though we've been through many transitions, ups and downs, we are very proud of what we are able to provide to our young people, and the fact that a lot of our young people stay, and as evidenced tonight, a lot of our people come back to celebrate the accomplishments of the graduates that we have been able to be a part of their lives. And it's amazing, like when we met with the students yesterday, and to hear the impact that our distinguished alumni had on them, the stories that they had, to hear what kids were saying when they walked out of the classrooms, not realizing that, hey, I can be that person. So if there was ever anything that was so powerful, it was that our kids were able to see living examples of those that once walked in their shoes. They didn't walk in the same hallways. I think that was the first thing that people realized when they came in. The hallways look differently. However, there are some iconic places like the portico, and I heard some amazing stories about the fun times that were held in the athletic facilities in the portico, and really the stories about families and friends, and that's what's important. Those memories that you take away to Texas, that you take away to Alabama, that you take away to Maryland, and to the different places that your lives take you and your families, and the willingness and the eagerness to come back and to celebrate what that has meant to you is really what makes this a special evening. So on behalf of the Altoona Area School District, I want to thank everyone, family, friends, our distinguished alumni for your willingness to come back and to share with us your lives, your successes, and what Altoona has meant to you. Because even though I am not an Altoona graduate, 29 years of my entire career here in the Altoona Area School District, I wear the A, and I know that you all do as well. So thank you very much. Let's have a great evening. Let's celebrate all of our wonderful honorees tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to introduce our student representative for the Altoona Alumni Association, Maggie Browse.
Good evening. My name is Maggie Browse, and I have the privilege of speaking tonight as the student representative for the Alumni Council. I consider myself even luckier to say that this is my second year serving, and I have enjoyed every moment participating in the monthly meetings and sharing with the amazing members news from the primary and secondary schools. I come from a long line of mountain lions, going back 5 generations and possibly more, of Altoona graduates. My great-great-grandfather, Park Height, was an Altoona graduate. My great-grandfather, Bob Height, was a part of the class of 1934. My grandfather, Lee Height, is a 1962 grad, and both of my parents graduated with the class of 1993. I am so glad to be able to be the next proud Altoona grad with the upcoming class of 2026. I am currently enrolled as a senior at the high school, which I have a very hard time believing as it feels like time has gone so fast. I have not always been a student of the Altoona School District, despite living here all of my life. I attended elementary at a small Montessori school in Hollidaysburg, meaning when I made my transition to AAHS, I knew little to no people at Altoona. What made it an even tougher situation for me was that I was a new student in the middle of the pandemic. Going through this made me consider a few other schools, but in the end, I decided Altoona was my best fit, and I still believe that to be true. Altoona has so much to offer. From the clubs to the classes, the sports to the arts, there's something for every student to find enjoyment in. We offer many sports such as bocce, volleyball, wrestling, football, soccer, basketball, and more. While I am not an athlete, you will see me cheering on Altoona in the student section at every home football game. Clubs, however, are something I can say I am very involved in. I am an active member in over 10 clubs, and while that may sound like a lot, it is truly only a fraction of all the organizations our school offers. We have Astronomy Club, Fanatics for Language and Culture Club, Ski Club, National Art Honor Society, Drama, Key Club, and Student Council. I would go on to list more, but we might be here all night if I did that. Despite already having so many great organizations to offer, Altoona welcomes new ideas for additional clubs. Last year, I founded the Altoona branch of CARE Club. CARE stands for Cancer Awareness, Research, and Education. CARE is an international organization, and when a friend from a neighboring school asked me if I would be interested in bringing a division of it to the high school, I thought it sounded like a great idea. Our administration was so good about working with me to make it a possibility, which is just a testament to how much they encourage the student body to follow their ambitions. The arts department at Altoona is also extraordinary. Our arts program blends into the students' schedules throughout the day, so they are able to take the opportunity of participating in an activity they love as an actual part of their academic curriculum. We offer classes such as orchestra, chorus, vocal ensemble, band, and the list goes on. Our spectacular marching band performs at the football games and does a fantastic job. In addition, many of these music classes have concerts throughout the year that are open to be attended by the general public, to which they also demonstrate an amazing performance. Our drama department is one of the best in our area. We offer electives students can take that help prepare for the fall play and spring musical, such as costume making and set design. If you weren't aware of this already, the costumes and props you see on stage are all made by our students and faculty. Shifting to other elective options, Altoona offers a multitude of classes. We have unique electives such as Greek mythology, jewelry making, creative writing, sports and literature, astronomy, and more. For students interested in a medical path, we even offer Project Lead the Way. This set of courses includes biomedical science, human body systems, etc. These courses are extremely advantageous for students who choose to further their education, as these classes are a unique feature at Altoona and look great to prospective admission officers. If you complete every class in the program, you can even earn a sash to wear at graduation. Continuing on with our physical education program, I cannot say I'm the biggest fan of gym class, I would much rather take a walk down at Penn State Altoona campus than play kickball, as I have been hit by various pieces of sports equipment many times. But having a range of physical education class options has made it more enjoyable. We offer regular PE, swimming, weightlifting, and strength and conditioning. Strength and conditioning is special as it is a year-long course and only offered to school athletes, helping them stay in shape and continue their training throughout the school year to assist them in excelling at their sports. I can vouch that this class is very enjoyed as I have a freshman brother who absolutely loves it. Altoona even offers a multitude of AP classes, which for those of you who aren't familiar with that are college-level courses in which you can either dual enroll or take a national exam at the end of the year to earn college credits at a much lower price. Altoona has made efforts to partner with colleges such as Mount Aloysius, St. Francis, and the University of Pittsburgh to make dual enrollment a possibility for their students. Examples of classes we offer in this AP program include drawing, 3D art, United States history, European history, government, literature, chemistry, physics, biology, economics, computer science, and the list goes on. While these courses are definitely tough, I find them to be incredibly rewarding. Many people call me insane for this, but I'm partaking in 5 of these courses this year. While it can be stressful, my teachers are amazing and do a great job at preparing us. On the topic of teachers, Altoona employs some of the best. I have made connections with many of my teachers in the past 6 years. Our teachers show empathy and understanding, while ensuring you remain responsible for getting your work done and staying on track with the curriculum. They have instilled in me virtues such as hard work and accountability. I have many teachers who I can confidently say have shown a passion for what they do. I find this tremendously important as these are the kinds of teachers that leave the biggest impact on students. While discussing impactful individuals, my grandfather Lee Height had the privilege of being one of the Distinguished Alumni Award recipients from 2023. All of my life, he has been one of my biggest role models. I always admired how he turned his success in business into a passion for helping others. In my opinion, his most impressive feats of philanthropy are the ones he would do behind the scenes. Just like all of you being honored, he acts not out of a desire for recognition, but out of a devotion for doing what he loves and for the people he loves. I am so honored to be able to be a little part of a ceremony recognizing incredible individuals who I can sincerely add to my list of people whom I look up to. I hope to one day be able to make great contributions to society just as you have. Congratulations to you all. You make Altoona proud. Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, if you'll take a moment just to bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather as friends, alumni, family, and to make new friends and to meet new people. Thank you for those who have prepared and will be serving our meal this evening. May it strengthen and nourish our bodies, and may we leave here just a little stronger than we were before we came in. Thank you for your kindness, and thank you for always watching over us. Amen. So at this time, I encourage you to read the biographies before dinner. After dinner, we are going to have a dessert buffet. So if everyone can help themselves to the dessert buffet before we honor our honorees, or at least be in your seat, then we can have our full attention on our honorees this evening. So enjoy your meals. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started to kind of keep this timely and moving for anyone that might need to head out of town tonight. So go ahead and finish getting your desserts. I don't obviously mind anybody moving around while I'm talking, but once we get to our honorees, hopefully everybody will have had a chance to get their dessert, get a drink, and find their way to their tables. So earlier this evening, Peggy spoke to the great success of our Alumni Association. We are blessed to have dedicated Alumni Council members who meet monthly to chart the course for our organization. Allow me to introduce the Alumni Council members in attendance tonight, and I'm going to ask them to stand when I introduce them. Obviously, you've met Peggy and her husband Bud Cawthorn, class of 1966. Peggy is our president. Barbara Lovell, 1960, is our vice president. John Fiore, class of 1966, serves as our curator of the Altoona Area High School Alumni Museum. And if anyone locally hasn't had a chance, the museum is in the Altoona Public Library, and it is jam-packed full of some really, really cool alumni memorabilia. So I invite you to go over and stop by. Tammy Buchanan, class of 1980. Becky Geiner, class of 1980. Elizabeth Happany, class of 62. Sandy Pritz, class of 1960. And of course, our student representative, Maggie Browse, class of 2026. So thank you for all you folks do for our council. Also, quick recognition to our school district administration. You've met Mr. Hatch. Mrs. Haley Flegel is our assistant superintendent for elementary and curriculum and instruction. And then we have Mike Pappas from our school board of directors. So thank you for coming this evening. So as we stated earlier, our Alumni Council established the Distinguished Alumni Program in 1999 as a way to honor those people who used their Altoona High diploma as a springboard for success. In addition, the Alumni Council hoped that our current students would be inspired by their accomplishments and encouraged by their stories. Yesterday, our honorees spent time at the high school with many of our students, sharing their personal journeys and experience. This experience affords our students the opportunity to hear firsthand how an Altoona High diploma can help one achieve impressive accomplishments. I hope our honorees enjoyed that time as much as our students enjoyed having you there, as well as our staff members. What we get to hear as through administration is the comments from our students and staff about how impressed they are with what you've done. And I think our staff enjoys it as much as our students do. So thank you for that time. Individual plaques, which list some of the major accomplishments of each award winner, hang on a dedication wall inside the high school just outside our open cafeteria. This space is dedicated to honoring our alumni, and it is prominent for all of our students to see. The plaques are the same as those that are on display on the back table, honoring our honorees, and they will be hung next week. You may have also noticed the handsome captain's chair next to the display table in the back, off to my right. Next week, Standard Chair of Gardner will ship a chair to each of our award winners. Each chair will bear the engraved Alumni Association logo and award winner's name and class year. We trust this will be a lasting reminder of this very special weekend for our honorees. In honor of Harold Stitt, the Alumni Association has made a $300 donation to the North Alabama Vietnam Helicopter Pilot Association, an organization Mr. Stitt was highly involved with. I want to also mention that the evening event is being videotaped by Nate Taylor in the back from Public Access. Tonight's program will be aired on the Public Access channel as well as the Public Access YouTube channel, and we'll get a copy of it as well and put it on ours, the Altoona Area School District channel. So let's get started with the most important part of our tonight's program, the introduction of our distinguished alumni. So as you read in your program, each of our honorees has achieved many great and wonderful things and are similar in many ways. Each has provided service to others, has been extremely innovative, and excelled in their chosen fields. I think you will agree the selection committee identified deserving winners of this award this year. This past spring, though, Christopher Bright reached out with an interest to do something special to honor his mother, Judy Bright, a 1954 graduate of then Altoona High School. We talked about Judy and the impact the school and the Altoona community had made on not only her, but her extended family. The friendships and connections she made were long-lasting. As a result of those conversations, the Judith Filler Bright Memorial Fund was established to sponsor future distinguished alumni events. We are honored to receive this legacy of support, and we are grateful to the Bright family. Please welcome Mr. Christopher Bright to say a few words.
Thank you, Paula, for that introduction. I am delighted and honored to be here tonight as we recognize 5 graduates of the Altoona Area High School who have all had very impressive professional and avocational accomplishments. Their achievements are a credit to the Altoona Area High School and the greater Altoona area. As Paula mentioned, my mother, Judy Fuller, was a 1954 graduate of Altoona High School, as were her brother, parents, grandparents, and many aunts and uncles. The high school was a very special place for her, not only because of these family connections, but because of the training that she gained at the high school, which allowed her to launch a successful secretarial career at Penelec. Altoona High also gave my mother many lasting, lifelong friendships, which she developed and maintained as a consequence of being an Altoona student, including with the Heights and others. She was eager to help others to develop and celebrate their ties to the school just as she had done. So after my mother passed away, her family agreed to provide, as Paula mentioned, the foundation with funds to help support the Distinguished Alumni Program, to bring alumni, students, teachers, administrators, and others together to recognize the important accomplishments, the many, many important accomplishments of Altoona Area High School graduates. Her family thought this was a fine idea. And I'm happy to be here tonight to represent my mother and her family. I'm accompanied by one of my sisters, Rebecca, and her daughter, Bridget. We're honored to be here, and we commend the very distinguished group for their impressive accomplishments tonight. Thank you.
So on behalf of the Altoona Area School District, the Alumni Association, and I didn't know if you were going to be at the football game last night, the athletic department, we have a small token of our appreciation.
Excellent.
You
This is excellent. Thank you.
and your family.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you very
welcome.
much.
Thank you. All right, we're going to get started with the fun part. Not that all that wasn't. So to introduce our first honoree, please welcome Mr. Rob Davis.
Congratulations to all the honorees. It's quite a privilege to be here to introduce Joe Fraundorfer, Lieutenant Colonel, retired Joe Fraundorfer. One of our distinguished alumni tonight, obviously. Though around here we just call him Joe, but I call him brilliant, engaging, and extraordinarily humble. Joe's career reads like a Tom Clancy novel, except in Joe's case, the plot twists are classified. He led operations tours from Panama to Pakistan, briefed generals in Iraq, and coordinated disaster response to hurricanes and even a presidential inauguration. He helped bring clean drinking water to over 5 million Iraqis. He was involved in developing the coding to the B-2 bombers to help it be, I call it more stealthy, but I don't think that's really a military term. If you've ever wondered who kept the U.S. free while the rest of us are out at Beaver Stadium or Mansion Park watching our favorite football teams, it's probably Joe. And he still plays a big role in our freedom today, believe it or not. But we can't talk about that, seeing as it is classified, and that's a true story. After retiring from the Air Force, Joe didn't slow down. He just switched from flying around in U.S. Air Force assets to acquiring patents. He managed international programs, founded a renewable energy company, and developed security scanning systems for the Department of Defense and Homeland Security. In fact, if you've ever been able to get through an airport security in record time, that's the guy to thank for it. Joe holds 3 master's degrees, and get this, 10 patents. And rumor has it he is fluent in 3 languages. One of them is Altoona. Yins would learn that, like I have, over a hoagie and water from Sheets, not Wawa. He's been awarded the Bronze Star, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, and most impressively, survived daily briefings with Generals Petraeus and Casey. And at least one of those briefings was accompanied by a funny, non-classified story as well that bridges real-life teenage drama with planning a war. But beyond the medals and the missions, Joe is a proud AAHS Penn State grad, a former wrestling team member, and a role model for service, innovation, and leadership. Please join me in welcoming Joe to the stage. Is he coming up or not? Okay. Welcome to the stage. Our own distinguished alumni, who outside of Major Harold Stitt, good God rest his soul, is probably the only person here who can say, I was at the Pentagon, but I can't tell you why. Joe Fraundofer.
Well, I'm humbled. I really am heartfelt grateful for you all to come here. Thank you. I can't say thank you enough to Altoona High. Thank you, Paula, for putting this together for the Alumni Association and the board. It's such a well-run program, and obviously the school is well-run, was when we were there. It's well-run now. It's producing such a high level of graduates. We got a chance to talk to them yesterday. It was fun at the football game. Walking through the school was amazing. So I just think Altoona thrived when we were there. It continues to thrive, and it's a very bright hope and star for the foreseeable future. I've been lucky enough to travel the world and see a variety of countries, but you never forget where your roots are, and we've always felt Altoona was home. I was lucky enough to marry Miss Wright and meet her at an early stage in my life. She's from Claysburg, my wife Cynthia Wright. We've been married 40 plus years and have a broad extended family. So I'm blessed to have my siblings here, my brothers and sisters, my cousins have come in from out of town. Thank you so much. My extended family from the Wrights and from the Claysburg area, friends and old and new. Just blessed to have you all here. My wrestling buddies, we may wrestle a little bit later on. Hopefully not. I will share one war story because it pertains to all of you. So when I was in Iraq in 2006 and 2007, it was sort of the height of the insurgency, bombs going off all the time. And people from my hometown and our families would send us care packages. I got a lot of care packages. Again, because I was married to Miss Wright, and she takes care of me. But the care packages would often come in Tupperware, and cookies and candies and things would come, and I would take them out. We were combat engineers, and we went from the northern part of Iraq in the Sinjar Hills, which looks a lot like Altoona, with Brush Mountain, beautiful green hills, to the south, where the big rivers come together, and was the biblical area of the Garden of Eden. But our teams would travel extensively in convoys in some very dangerous areas, and we would go into small towns and villages and build clean water filtration systems, which was miraculous to see. The waterborne diseases in children would clear up within a week. And so consequently, moms especially and women would like to see us coming because they knew we were bringing clean water to their towns. I would often in convoy bring Tupperware cookies with me and share them with the locals. So they would like to see us coming. I would share the cookies. And then more often than not, sort of disagreements would break out, fights would break out among the women who would get the Tupperware at the end of the day. And this kind of surprised me. So I asked a friend of mine, the mayor of Sulaymaniyah, and I said, Hassan Fatah, what's up with the Tupperware? And he said, these ladies have very little electricity and therefore almost no refrigeration in their house. So they have to go to the marketplace to buy food almost every day. Almost every day, bombs are blowing up in these marketplaces and killing people, killing them. So if they have your Tupperware, they don't have to go to the market every day. They can spend 2 or 3 days with the food they bake. And it literally saves their life. So I mention that just to make the point that all of you play a significant role. Maybe Tupperware diplomacy is a thing of the future. So more often than not, I think the Tupperware held, Dutch Hill chocolates. So if Dutch Hill gets an order from Central Iraq, don't be surprised for more chocolates. But I wanted to, wrap up and just say thank you for being here. Thank you to my wife especially, 42 plus years, Cynthia Wright. She's a rock star in her own right. And thank you all for coming. It's been a wonderful, wonderful experience. Thank you.
I will tell you, Joe, you're absolutely right. We were thrilled to have Cynthia along with Joan yesterday at the high school. She brought as much to the table with our students as he did. And again, that's another benefit. We get, and graduate from Claysburg, you're just right down the road. That's awesome. Okay, our next honoree is Ferdina Ingold, and unfortunately I had asked somebody to introduce her, so Ferdina, I'm sorry you're going to be stuck with my introduction this evening. Ferdina, class of 1970, she is a pioneering figure in women's athletics. Ferdina Ingold served as the Director of Athletics at Pennsylvania State University, Altoona for 37 years, leaving an indelible mark on the institution and the broader landscape of collegiate sports. Her leadership significantly impacted the growth and development of the campus's intercollegiate athletics and recreational sports programs. It was under her leadership where the programs transitioned from a junior college to NCAA Division III membership. She played on the first Altoona area high school Lady Lion basketball team and was a standout student athlete at Penn State University in both softball and volleyball. She later won the National Racquetball Championship in 1988. In 1990, she was the first woman inducted into the Blair County Hall of Fame. She has been recognized and has earned numerous awards for her work. Growing up in Altoona and being involved in Altoona athletics, I knew of Ferdina Ingold, just like everybody else, but it wasn't until yesterday that I had a chance to meet her. Listening to her speak to our female athletes yesterday, you could see that she comes from a perspective of conviction and passion for everything she does, and she takes a true interest in those around her. I think I learned more about her yesterday than some of the girls that were there watching her. So please join me in welcoming Ferdina Ingold.
Good evening, everyone. Joe, you're killing me. What an act to follow. When I think back to my days at Altoona High School, here in the Jaffa Mosque, I remember our men's basketball team used to play here. And I was a cheerleader doing flips down the sideline here. So it's incredible that I'm back here. I mean, the circuits has taken over since then, but I was here and that's pretty cool. Another fond memory I have is being part of the first women's basketball team. I remember walking into practice and we didn't have uniforms. We didn't even know what the heck we were doing. And they didn't always fit. But we weren't sure what was going on at that time. But what I remember most is a feeling of being part of something new, something that hasn't been done before here, and that was pretty exciting. At that time, I didn't realize how special that moment was, but looking back now, I see it as one of the first times I learned the power of being part of a team, the courage it takes to try something new, and the importance of paving the way for others. I'm truly honored and humbled to receive the Altoona Area High School Distinguished Alumni Award. To be recognized in this way and to be included along such accomplished fellow honorees is something I will always treasure. Congratulations to each of you. Your achievements inspire me, and I'm grateful to stand here with you tonight. When you're young, walking the halls of high school, cheering in the stands, or rushing from practice to clubs or meetings, you don't always realize the impact those experiences will have on you. It's only later, looking back, that you begin to see how much time Altoona High School shaped you, your values, your work ethic, and your confidence in what's possible. For me, some of those defining experiences came through sports. I had the privilege of playing on the very first women's basketball team at Altoona High School. At the time, we probably didn't even realize we were part of something historic. We just loved the game, loved competing, and loved being part of a team. That experience taught me so much about courage, resilience, and importance of paving the way for others. And I had the privilege, I received an email from someone last week saying that my coach, Barbara Johnson, often spoke of me, and she was celebrating her 96th birthday on Wednesday at Garby Manor. And they asked me if I would send her a card, because she always spoke so fondly of me. Well, I do better than that. I was in New Jersey, drove back Tuesday night, and was there for her. I walked in Wednesday at Garby Manor, and it was the most incredible experience. I spent 3 hours with her, sharp as a tack, remembered more than I did, but it was just phenomenal. And I looked at her and I said, you know, how did you become a coach back then? And she said, well, I came from Akron and I knew a little bit about basketball, and the principal came up to me in the hallway and said, how about starting a team for us? And she said, okay. And I said, well, why was I on the team? She said, well, I had you in gym class and you could run really fast. And you were determined, so I knew you would be a good fit. So it was kind of funny, and it was just unbelievable. So we were not only learning how to play basketball, but also to stand tall, take risks, and believe that our voices and efforts mattered. I was a cheerleader. There weren't too many women's sports back then, maybe tennis, cheerleading, basketball. And that role taught me something equally important: how to celebrate and lift others up. There's real power and encouragement in lending your energy to help a team or a person reach their best. That lesson stayed with me in my career and in my life. And then there were the clubs and activities and the places where we connected with classmates outside of the classroom. Those moments gave me a sense of belonging. They taught me leadership, responsibility, and how to work with people who sometimes saw the world differently than I did. At the time, I didn't realize how much those experiences mattered, but looking back, I see clearly the foundation for who I became was built right here, was built at Altoona Area High School. Of course, none of us makes it on our own. I want to thank the nominating committee for believing in me and for giving me this honor. It's so special. I've received other awards throughout my lifetime, but it's so special when it's from your hometown and your high school. Means more than anything. I want to thank my teachers, those who pushed me when I thought I couldn't do more, and those who saw something in me before I saw it in myself. I want to thank my classmates who shared laughter, competition, friendship, and let me cheat off of them sometimes. Just kidding. And my coach, Barbara Johnson, who demanded hard work, but gave me the confidence in my abilities. I'd like to say that my mother died when I was in high school. And Barbara Johnson, my coach, I went to her first at her house because I didn't know where to go. And she embraced me as a young girl and helped me. And I would always be dedicated to her for being there for me at a tough time. Sorry, for a young girl. I have some special people here tonight. My cousin Debbie Wasco, my cousin Jeannie Fusco, friends Linda Minson, and Glenn and Debbie Santella. Thank you for supporting me. Each of you had a hand in shaping who I am today. You know, when you get old, you get a little wimpy, so hang in there. Things hit you harder. And finally, I want to thank my family. To my husband, Rand, you know, it's tough being with a strong, independent, bullheaded woman. And he has been there for 35 years and has been my biggest fan. So thank you, Rand. And my daughter, Taylor. She was a gift from God. Had her when I was 42, said I'd never have children. Another accomplishment they didn't think I'd do. That's great. I'm so proud of her. She is just, I think being a mother and having her was the biggest accomplishment of my life. She's currently an attorney in DC and has worked hard all her young life and was able to be here for me tonight, and I really appreciate it. Thank you both for making my life complete. You're my greatest source of strength and joy, and everything I've achieved has been possible because of your love and support. Thank you. As I accept this award tonight, I see it not only as a recognition of my own journey, but also a tribute to Altoona Area High School and the people who make this community so special. The lessons I learned here, the friendships I formed recently and before, and the opportunities I was given have traveled with me every step of the way. So thank you for this honor, for the memories, and for reminding me once again that the roots of who we become often reach back farther than we realize. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ferdina. Okay, to introduce our next honoree, Mr. Michael Kumin, please welcome Elizabeth Happany.
Hi. I want first of all to thank all of you for coming this evening to recognize and honor these marvelous people, members of the Altoona Area School District family. and certainly very special people in the world. For many students, their school's art programs are a lifeline. Music, theater, and the visual arts can create for the student an understanding and connection with the world as he knows it, as well as with, as well as with others, and an understanding of himself. The arts often enable a student to mature and to discover his place in the world. As an Altoona area high school theater instructor at the time, my students selected a play written by Marjorie Kelly in 1968 called Tell Me That You Love Me, Junie Moon. It was later made into a movie by Otto Preminger and starred Liza Minnelli. It's the story of three neurotic young people who are patients in a rehabilitation hospital recovering from physical and mental injuries. Michael Kuhlman was not a member of the cast or the crew, but he was a groupie. And as a theater person myself, and I know I have some other friends here who are also groupies, I can tell you it's hard for us not to get involved. And so Michael was often at rehearsals, just sitting in and listening to what was going on, talking to his friends. And when there was a pause in the rehearsal, he often went to the piano and would play something, and his friends would say, "Oh, Mike, can you do this? Can you do that?" Usually in these plays, in the production of these plays, we had some music at the beginning and during the intermission. But there was no music that came with Tell Me That You Love Me, Junie Moon. And one day I said to Mike, do you think you could compose something that would identify each of the characters in this story so that when the audience heard the music, they would know who it was you were talking about? When I first heard his composition, I was absolutely amazed. You didn't have to know the characters to recognize through Michael's music who they were and what they represented in the play and in the life of the other characters. Michael also went on to write a string program for a Holocaust production we had that year. And he became sort of the Altoona area high school composer, as it was. And I can just tell you that I knew from then on that Michael was going somewhere. The rest, as they say, is history. Michael's productions have been featured on television. You might be familiar with the cartoon Vampirina. They've been performed all over the world. I was very lucky to be able to see a performance of Finn, his musical about a shark, a young shark who desperately wants to fit in with the other sharks, at the Kennedy Center last year. I don't know what's ahead for you, Michael, but I know it's going to be stellar and magnificent. It is with a great amount of pride, admiration, and love that I can announce you as one of Altoona Area School District's outstanding alumni.
All right. Thank you for that. It's hard to call her Betsy. It's still Mrs. Happeny to me. Thank you, Paula, for this incredible event. This whole weekend has been so wonderful. And thank you all for being here. There's a saying that we are the average. Let me see if I can make this a little bit taller. I might be a little bit taller than some people. There's a saying that we are the average of the 5 people we are closest to, meaning that the 5 people you spend the most time with heavily influence your habits and your lifestyle and your ultimate quality of happiness and quality of life. I believe you can also extend that metaphor to the people around you, to the community that you are in. So I'm going to tell you a little story recently involving Finn that happened to me, and I'm going to bring it back to this community. So forgive me for just taking a little bit of a tangent first. Last year, I had the incredible pleasure of premiering a piece that was very special and personal to me called Finn, a family musical about a shark who is growing up in a shark pack that is very stoic and very gray and very aggressive. And on a chance encounter, he meets a fish that shows him the very colorful, vibrant, expressive world of fish. And then he begins to realize soon that maybe deep inside, he is a fish. It's thematically a show about being yourself and finding yourself. It's also about finding your people, finding your pack, your shark pack, as we say in the show. My collaborators and I were honored to open the show at the Kennedy Center. The Kennedy Center was a place I'd worked a couple times, and it was my favorite place to work. Forgive the momentary brag, but it was a critical hit and it sold out and it was a box office smash and we were nominated for lots of awards. The show was so successful that the Kennedy Center decided to plan a 2-year tour of the show. Now, this had never happened to me before. I've had a lot of musicals, I've had them in a lot of different places, but I never had a tour, and I never had a tour in America. And the Kennedy Center said, we believe in this show so much, in its message of inclusivity and acceptance, that we're going to spend some money and we're going to take this show on the road and we're going to show families all across America this show. I was elated, not only because I'd never had a tour before, but because this show was really personal to me. It was a bit of a personal story, I have to say. And not least in this excitement was the fact that I was going to get 2 years of income. Okay, I'm an artist, and you never get 2 years of guaranteed income. And so I was like, wow, that was really exciting for me. And so not long into the process of booking cities for this tour, the Kennedy Center was taken over very swiftly and very publicly by a new leader. And this leader actually tweeted about my show, saying they're going to put a stop to drag shows for children. Something I haven't mentioned is that Finn, our main character in this show, is a shark who really enjoys sparkly things. In fact, sometimes he wears a t-shirt that had sparkly things on it. And it's this fact that made him feel very different. The other sharks really made fun of him for it. And they also didn't know how to deal with it. Finn didn't even know what it meant, but it made him ostracized and it made him feel really, really, really different. So suddenly this little sweet show that I wrote for my 4-year-old nephew, I wrote every note of this show to make him smile. This was being targeted in a very public way, a way I never could have expected. And us writers of the show were super crushed. We were really crushed that the wind was being taken out of the sails of this show by someone who had obviously never seen the show. We were called later that day saying the show had been canceled for financial reasons, but reading between the lines, we realized that it was other things that had caused the cancellation of the show. Personally, I was heartbroken. This was a show that was really one of the most personal shows I could have ever written in my entire life. As I mentioned, it was a really big hit. And again, 2 years of income that I thought I was going to get, that I needed. So the 2 other writers and I decided to take a little a text-only social media post and just say the situation and say how disappointed we were. But what happened next was really astounding. Almost immediately, we got inundated with calls from the media asking to interview us. Within 36 hours, I was on CNN, NPR, New York Times, New Yorker, CBC, many more. The momentum did not stop for 6 weeks. It is a moment in my life I barely remember. It was crazy. But we also started hearing cries of support from the theater community. People from all over the world were calling us to tell us that they were disappointed, to share their feelings with us. People were calling to say they wanted to restage the show. They wanted to do their own tour. People were calling to also just try to help in other different ways. One of those opportunities actually came from a man named Seth Rudetsky, who is, if you listen to Sirius XM, he's the host of the Broadway channel. And he came to us and he said, I want to do a reading of your show in New York City with a full orchestra, with all celebrities, because something is happening to you and it's not right, and I want to make sure people know about it. So of course we said yes to that. He said, give us a list of your dream cast. And so we made a list, and we of course said, oh, none of these people are going to say yes. Every single person said yes. And so we had Andrew Rannells of Stage and Screen playing Finn, the main character, Kelly O'Hara, Tony Award winner, and theater royalty was playing a tiny role of a fish. And it was just amazing. I mean, celebrities were calling to ask to be part of it. We had to say no at a certain point. Suffice it to say, the concert was one of the highlights of my life. It sold out a 2,000-seat theater, and we raised $10,000 for the Trevor Project. It was incredible. Every single one of those theater people involved donated their time to this cause because they said, you're being wronged and we need to help you. All of this because a community of theater people said, hey, this isn't right. A member of our community is being mistreated and we're going to do something about it. It was one of those moments in my life when I realized the power of a community of smart people who are loyal to you and will stick up when you're being mistreated. A community, I thought, like the one I grew up in. A community that believes and invests in its next generation. A community that has someone like Kelly Detweiler, my kind and deeply caring music teacher, who taught me double bass lessons in her basement, and she taught me counterpoint in AP music theory at Altoona Area High School. A community that has someone like Chrissy Feretta, my bestie from marching band who drove me home from marching band every day, even though I'm pretty sure I never gave her $1 for gas. A community that has someone like Brianne Bickle, who was my orchestra bestie, my pit orchestra ride or die, also the only one who actually made it to state orchestra with me. A community that has someone like Katrina Brown, who taught me how to stand in front of a class as I read a T.S. Eliot poem so I could learn how to speak in public. A community that has someone like Elizabeth Happney, my brilliant and kooky English and drama teacher, who saw the hint of musical theater storytelling inside of me and asked me to write music for the school play. It was the first time I ever wrote music for a story. She is the woman who truly ignited the arc of my career. The woman who saw the sparkly shark inside of me and said, come over here, this is your shark pack. A community that has Barbara and Marty Koopman, my beautiful, inspiring parents who drove me to all my music lessons, paid for them, and pushed me to follow my dreams. They offered me nonstop support, and I aspire to be just like them. A community that has Katie Koopman, my sister and best friend who listens to every problem I have and tells me it's going to be all right. What I have learned so deeply this year is that we all need a strong community around us who love and support us unconditionally, even when others are treating you unfairly. And I'll just say this, if there's a young little sparkly shark of sorts in your life, I would urge you to make a gesture to tell them that they belong and that they are loved, because it can have a bigger effect than you might realize. And since I am a writer, I'm going to sum things up with a writing metaphor, if you don't mind. In this case, a Pixar film. The main character in a Pixar film is usually on a quest to seek something they deeply want, and so they go on a long, treacherous, difficult journey, and they often realize that the thing they seek they had all along. What I was seeking was my own community of loving, smart, supportive people around me. And what I was seeking, I had all along. I must say I am proud to be in the room with all of you. I am proud to be from this wonderful community. I am proud to be from this incredible school. Thank you very much for this honor and have a wonderful night.
Okay, Michael, you covered up all my papers. No. Where'd it go? Bear with me here. Here we go. All right. Next, it is my honor to welcome Haley Flegel to the stage, and she will be introducing our next honoree, Dr. Kelly Miller. I definitely have to lower this. Good evening. Congratulations to all of the recipients this evening. My name is Haley Flegel, and I'm honored to be standing here tonight to introduce my cousin, a trailblazer, visionary leader, and role model for so many, Dr. Kelly Miller. Growing up, I had the opportunity to see Kelly's charismatic spirit and leadership from a very young age. She would advocate for her fellow women anytime she could. She ran for class president to not only help her fellow classmates, but it also secured her an opportunity to leave a lasting impression on her class and cemented the tradition of the class president speaking at graduation. Her message and communication of hard work and work ethic shined yesterday as she spoke with our students. While our family was rooted in this community, college was a new and uncharted territory. But Kelly, who graduated from Altoona Area High School in 1986, was ready to take on that challenge. She became the first in her family to go to college, and she didn't just walk across the stage. She set the stage for many of us to follow. Her journey from the University of Pittsburgh for her BA to the Pennsylvania State University for her MA and PhD wasn't just a path of personal achievement. It was an act of courage and an inspiration to many. Watching her career has been incredible. She started at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi, as the youngest full-time faculty member at just 26. And since then, she has devoted her life to the world of higher education and communications. She served as a department chair, a director, a dean, a provost, and now as president of a major university. But what truly defines her isn't the title. It's the impact she's had on others. She's the type of leader who makes a difference, whether it's through the words in her textbook, Business and Professional Communication, Keys for Workplace Excellence, or her tireless work in the community. Her awards from organizations like the American GI Forum are a testament to her steadfast commitment to service. To see her recognized as an outstanding alumna by the Pennsylvania State University, and now here tonight as a distinguished alumna of Altoona High School, fills me with immense pride. For me, and for so many others, she has proven that your background doesn't define your future. She showed me that with hard work, a passion for learning, and a commitment to helping others, you can achieve anything. Please join me in welcoming a true role model and my truly remarkable cousin, the president of Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi, Dr. Kelly M. Miller.
Well, I don't know how I'm supposed to give a speech after that because I'm crying right now. Thank you, Haley. I do have to say one thing before I begin, though. I it was quite a rebel nerd move for me to give the commencement speech, or give a speech at commencement. I wasn't supposed to, but back then, if you were class president, you got to graduate on behalf of your class. And I thought, well, when they give me the microphone, if I start to speak, what are they going to do? So I just wrote a speech and gave it. The principal is not very happy, but I will say that they've done it ever since. So it must have turned out okay. So thank you for that, Haley. The year was 1986, and I'm not sure what I was wearing, but it was probably either a Madonna-inspired miniskirt or my version of Don Johnson Miami Vice look. But either way, I know my hair was big. My family often jokes that I personally put the hole in the ozone layer because it wasn't big naturally, so there was a lot of Aquanet involved. But regardless, even if I can't remember what I was wearing, I remember that moment as if it was yesterday. It was my last day of high school, and I stood with my hands against the door, not wanting to push it open, knowing that when I did, I was going to enter a new chapter of my life. But was I ready? Almost 40 years later, I can answer that question with absolute certainty. I was ready for the next chapter and every chapter that followed because of the incredible foundation that had been provided to me by the Altoona Area School District and the values that I developed growing up in Altoona. I loved being a student. I loved McKinley Elementary School, Keith Junior High School, and Altoona High. I loved the people, my teachers, my friends, and I loved learning. And there was no shortage of opportunities for learning. The education I received from Altoona School District was nothing short of stellar. My teachers were dedicated and brilliant. I can literally still name all of them from kindergarten forward, and the impact they had on my life opened doors that I couldn't even imagine as a little girl. As Haley said, I'm a first-generation college student who went the entire way through my bachelor's at Pitt to my master's and PhD at Penn State on a full academic scholarship. Now, I got my first scholarship based on my SAT scores. At Altoona High, I had the opportunity to take Latin, vocab development, actually from you. And I also had the opportunity to take math courses from some of the most brilliant math instructors that one could ever learn from. All of this helped prep me for the SAT. Helping kids like me that couldn't afford a tutor or prep courses, let alone college, leveled the playing field so we could not only compete, but we can excel. In undergrad, I had a scholarship, but I misunderstood it. I thought it said I had to take 18 credits a semester and 6 hours in the summer, but it actually said I could take up to that and they would be paid for. But I started taking these great big loads of classes because I thought I had to. I didn't realize I didn't have to do that till my very last semester when 21 credits and I was done, so I took them. But what is so important about that is that load should have crushed me. It should have crushed most students. But the incredible educational foundation I had from Altoona High School not only allowed me to finish in 3 years, but it allowed me to finish in 3 years with a 4.0. Because I graduated early and I didn't want to be done with school, I decided to apply for Penn State. And when I got there, I had not realized that it was the #1 communications program in the country. I just went because it was Penn State. I wanted to stay in school. I realized at orientation it was the #1 program because I was the only person there from Pennsylvania, people from all around the country. And I immediately started to question whether or not I should cut it if I had made a big mistake, and I thought, well, I should probably quit. But once again, my time at Altoona High made all the difference. You see, my senior year, my classmates honored me by voting me most likely to succeed. I don't really know at that time if I was somebody who was most likely to succeed, but I will tell you, because they believed in me, I certainly was not going to let them down. So many times over the years when I thought about quitting, and each time that would happen, I would remember my classmates and that they believed in me, and I would keep going. I overcame whatever was in front of me because I knew my classmates thought I could succeed, and if they thought I could, well, I better do it. They created in me a self-fulfilling prophecy, and my life has been blessed because of it, because of them. I'm still in touch with many of them. In fact, my childhood friend, Rick Hoover, is here tonight, and I'm very honored that he came. And I thank God for Facebook. I know social media has many, many flaws, but when you move far away from home to Texas, being able to connect with your friends from high school is just absolutely wonderful. The kids I grew up with, my classmates, and the time I grew up in the 80s, well, they were incredible people and magical times, and I wouldn't trade my childhood for the world. Now, as far as my career, I owe the Altoona Area School District for my superior foundational education, my mom for the value she placed on education from the very first day of my life, and this community for my work ethic, which combined made an unstoppable force. Now, I often joke that the reason I got promoted from assistant professor to full professor to all those various positions up to president was because I outworked everybody. It's kind of a joke, but it's also kind of true because I learned the work ethic carried by so many here in this town. If your name is on it, it better be quality. You don't rest on your laurels, and you don't rest until the job is done, and the job better be done right. Additionally, I'm a Juniata kid. Literally wrong side of the tracks, as my friends from the other side of the tracks would say. But in my estimation, it was the right side of the tracks because we were tough, and Juniata kids don't back down to a challenge. And I wouldn't change that grit and that resiliency for anything in the world. And although I moved 1,000 miles away from home, actually several thousand miles away from home, to live in Texas, giving up my beautiful mountain view for a view of the Gulf, this place, my hometown, my education that I received here are absolutely a core of me every single day. And if you don't believe me and believe how important this place is to me, well, just ask me the name of my daughter. I named her Logan for Logan Valley. I wanted this place to have a very special place in her heart too, even if she didn't live here. Now, when I learned I was receiving this award, I was honored. But when I found out my Uncle Robbie and my little cousin Haley wanted to see me on that wall, see, look what you did, Haley, made me so emotional. But it's good, thank you. When I knew they wanted to see me on that wall, I felt like I had won something far more than any award could ever give me, because making them proud means so much to me. And the fact that they are here today, that my family came here today to support me, means so much. I love you all. And the hardest thing about moving away is that we don't get to see each other as much as I would like. Now, yesterday, my heart was literally bursting with pride when I saw all the incredible changes of our beloved high school. Taking a tour with the granddaughter of Dave Abood, who is one of the greatest teachers I ever had, a man who helped guide me when I was senior class president and who shared life wisdom with me that you define success yourself and don't let anyone else define it for you. During that tour, seeing arts balanced with athletics and the constant focus on academics, knowing that it is still strong here in this high school, filled my heart with happiness. Thank you for this incredible honor and for this wonderful experience that I will truly treasure. The only disappointing thing on this tour was that I had hoped that I could one day stand in front of that door again. But it was part of the B building, so it has been ripped down. And then I realized, both literally and metaphorically, that I couldn't go through that door again. But I didn't need to. My only move then, now, and always is forward because of the wonderful life that I have been granted because of foundation that this place has given me. So let me conclude with the words that I said to myself just before I pushed that door open all those years ago. Words that we said every morning, every single morning during the morning announcements back in the 80s. Blow, O gentle mountain breezes from the golden west. Breathe thy peaceful evening tidings to the AAHS. Whisper to us words of pleasure as the dim twilight softly gather round our colors, dear maroon and white. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. This year, the Distinguished Alumni Award is posthumously awarded to Harold W. Stitt, class of 1960. The posthumous award is always a favorite of mine. As I research and talk to others who knew these individuals, I walk away from this weekend wishing I have had the opportunity to meet them. As I mentioned to his daughter last evening at the football game, I think he would have loved to have been here this weekend to share his story and participate with his fellow honorees. So please join me in welcoming Harold's daughter, Becky Plott, and her son, Justin. Becky came from Alabama. I'm not sure exactly where Justin came. I knew he was flying last night. Same place? Yeah. So please welcome the two of them here to talk about their dad.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you. What an amazing alumni organization you guys have. We don't have anything like this in Alabama. No, it's the honest truth. This is really impressive. And the honorees tonight, what an impressive group of people. I just, listening to all of your stories, it's just amazing hearing all of it. I tried to imagine what my dad would say if he were here to receive this award. He would probably talk about some memorable times he had with his childhood friend, Bill Bratton. They would talk about his memories with his cousin Karen and his brother and sister, Denny and Judy. He would remind us about how he spent a lot of time taking business classes and playing baseball. My dad loved to tell jokes, so you guys would have heard a lot of corny jokes tonight. He probably would talk the most about how he met my mom. My mom was also a 1960 graduate of Altoona High, and surprisingly, they didn't even start dating until after they graduated. But my mom always told us how she knew who he was because he was that really smart guy. My parents were both born and raised in Altoona, and they married here in 1963. We were actually talking about a story last night of when they married here, and they were going through the rehearsal, and they found out where they were having the rehearsal dinner the next night was on fire while they were having the rehearsal dinner. So they're going to have the reception there the next night. So it was a funny story of how they started out. But my dad enlisted in the Army as our country was about to be engaged in the Vietnam War. He graduated from flight school and served 2 tours as a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. Dad didn't like to talk about many details of the Vietnam War, so when I was growing up, I didn't hear much about his time. I heard from other sources that he had many prestigious medals, including 2 Distinguished Flying Crosses, a Bronze Star, and a Purple Heart, along with others. He was one of the few pilots chosen to be an aircraft commander for General Creighton Abrams. My dad was shot in the leg while trying to evacuate other injured soldiers of Vietnam, and he could have chosen to just get in the helicopter and leave after that, but he chose to keep rescuing others despite his injury. It wasn't until I was older that I realized what a hero my dad was. That's because my dad didn't really find his joy in talking about his accomplishments. His joy came while talking about his wife and kids and his family. He always found time to coach our Little League teams. He never missed one of our important events. But something that stuck out to me a lot when I was younger was how he always made it a priority to come back to Altoona for his class reunions. No matter where he was stationed, he and my mom would always return whenever there was a reunion. Their classmates were family to them, and seeing them make that a priority in their lives was a big part of my childhood memories. I was glad to see several of the 1960 graduates here tonight, and apparently I met one of his first girlfriends, so nice to meet you. While I was growing up, my dad made sure that he brought me and my sisters back to Altoona at least once or twice a year to spend time with family. He loved to take us around the city, and he was so proud to be from Altoona. I remember being here at Christmas time and coming to watch basketball games, and then there was a well-known basketball tournament Coach Tannehill ran back then, and I remember that was a big part of remembering and coming and watching the basketball games. But as a result, I've raised my kids the same way, and they've made sure that they know all about Altoona. Which, by the way, if you want to know what my dad looked like in his 20s, this is what my dad looked like in his 20s. When my dad retired from the Army, he was stationed at Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama, and he decided to stay there and raise his family. We spent a good part of my formative years there, and I still reside in Huntsville, Alabama. My dad was a loyal Penn State fan and always wore his Penn State and Altoona gear around town. I'm sure you can imagine what kind of looks he got in Alabama wearing that stuff around town, but we were known around town as that Penn State family. But my dad taught us loyalty, and we were always loyal to where my parents were born and raised. I also think my dad enjoyed those opportunities to talk to others about where he was from. He was so proud of where he was from and never wavered in his support for his hometown. In 2016, Dad was honored in Huntsville and inducted into the Hall of Heroes in Huntsville, Alabama. He was very honored to receive this recognition, but he had a heavy heart. 1 year earlier, my mom had passed away, and he felt that she should be part of that honor as well. He always felt that the Army wives, military wives, didn't get the recognition they deserved for what they went through with their husbands while they were serving and off at war. He was so grateful for her support, and it was hard on him to not have her there by his side as he was honored. When my dad was toward the end of his cancer battle, he made it clear one thing he wanted to do was to return to Altoona and come to a class reunion. It was in August of 2022, and by the grace of God, he was strong enough to come to his class reunion. Being there meant so much to him. He was always so happy when he was around his friends and family in Altoona. He was not in the best condition, but he wanted to do whatever it took to get there. Sadly, 8 months later, Dad passed away. Altoona will always hold a special part in our hearts. I know that who my dad was as a person and was because of his upbringing in Altoona and due to the people in Altoona. I'm so grateful for the values and hard work that Altoona High School taught both of my parents. I've tried to think about how my dad would handle this honor. It's funny because he didn't brag a lot about his accolades, his time in the Army, and he talked about other things mostly, but this honor right here, I'm sure you agree with me, he would walk around bragging about this. You would hear him talking, hey, did you hear I'm a distinguished alumni from Altoona High? Nobody in Alabama would have known what that meant, but he would have told every single person what that meant. My sisters, Amy and Mary Lee, couldn't be here tonight, but they would also like to say thank you for honoring my father. This place meant so much to both my parents. People like to describe my dad as he had a love for God, family, and his country, but I also like to throw in there that he loved his Penn State Lions and Altoona. He was very, very loyal. But I'd like to say thank you for honoring him, and like my son knows, we bring them back. I still bring them back about once a year because Altoona is that important to us. So thank you all.
Okay, we are so glad you were able to join us at last night's game. So you got your gift from the athletic department. But here, on behalf of the school district and the foundation, there's a line in there for you. Thank you. And a couple of the whole top. Thank you. Nice to meet you. So this has indeed been a very special evening. We, again, congratulate all of our honorees, and we thank you all for being here this evening to celebrate their achievements with us. I would ask that the honorees please meet for a quick photo up front here before everybody gets too crazy in saying their goodbyes. And as it's been our tradition, and as Dr. Miller already had left to her words as she walked through that door, we're gonna end the evening with singing of, we're just gonna do the first verse of the alma mater, okay? So I will start it. We have no music, but I'm not gonna stand up here and sing it by myself. So I better hear somebody. You ready, Campbell? All right, here we go. Blow, oh gentle mountain breezes from the golden west. The words are in the back of your program. These the peaceful evening tidings to the AAHS. Whisper to us words of leisure as the dim twilights softly gather round our colors, dear maroon and white. So thank you very much for joining us this weekend, giving of your time, sharing your experiences, sharing your stories. I hope everybody's had a chance to maybe make some new friends and new acquaintances. Our next Distinguished Alumni recognition will be in 2 years. So if any of you know of anyone to nominate, it's a simple nomination. You can call our office or find it online. There's a lot of Altoona graduates that have done a lot of great things, and we only hear of them from folks like you. So thank you very much. Safe travels to all of you home. And again, thank you. Oh, one more thing. Thank you, Barb. I totally forgot. I didn't write it down. So in your program, Barb Lovell and some of the Alumni Association members have put a small flower. If you have the small flower, you can take the flowers in the center of the table. Thank you.